Hi, this is Matt Duke from the South Texas Power Lunch, ready for another exciting episode where I've got Nicole from Hand Me Up, and we're going to be talking about one of the most exciting startups I've heard of in quite a while. We're going to talk about the birth of Hand Me Up, which was a podcast and two women on a common mission together that pivoted into something I think is one of the most unique ideas I've heard in a long time. With that unique idea, they've got national and statewide press attention, which has exploded their growth and brought on some real realities with regard to scalability. Join me as we talk about their journey, as we talk about the challenges around ideation and creation of Hand Me Up, and then as they've hit that next level of getting that great media attention and scaling up their business. In here, you won't want to miss some great advice regarding scaling your company, ideation, and even how you create that great partnership with your other founders in order to have a sustainable business. Let's get straight to the conversation. Hi, I'm here with Nicole, and we've got an exciting talk today about what it really means to just jump with both feet in, which is really, I think, the key theme for this, Nicole. And so we're here talking about Hand Me Up, and really, you guys are one of the first company that's come in here that's literally been at like, hey, we're at the beginning of ideation and then just jump right into the deep end on this, which is so exciting for us. Give us the story of Hand Me Up. That's what I'm fascinated to hear. And I would say the story is not very long, but because you guys are so interested, like talk to us about where this idea came from. Where did you get the concept, and really this ideation part of what you did with you and your partner?
Yeah, so we like to say Hand Me Up started when we were 14 in high school, because that's when we met and became really good friends, best friends. And even in high school, we were running kids camps together.
Were y'all here?
Yeah, San Antonio.
Where'd you go to high school?
San Antonio Christian School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's right across the street over there. I went to Madison. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were doing like our class t-shirts, our fundraisers, and we've always known we were opposite strength and worked super well together. Like we've always been quite a team. We were sharing each other's clothes in high school, went to college, got married, had kids, and even then we were like, sharing our kids' clothes. And
you don't marry twins, did you?
No.
Okay.
But we do say we're slowly morphing into the same person. And Kara one day was like, hey, let's do a blog and podcast. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? And then we jumped straight into that with both feet, did that for 3 years. And we were kind of in that influencer world of swipe up, here's my link.
I still don't understand that one. People may think that I'm doing the influencer thing. I really don't know what an influencer, I don't know.
We didn't either. And that's why we were like, maybe we should start a business together instead. And we had a completely different business name, business idea, down the path, making samples. And Kara one day sat me down at coffee, and I've always been interested in ethical fashion, which is kind of thinking about where our clothes are made, how they're made, and then what do we do with them after. And that was something we had talked about on the podcast, as well as trying to help moms simplify life. So we had gained 3 years of knowledge of talking to moms and understanding that kids grow fast. They got a lot of clothes. What the heck do we do with them? And if I don't have someone to give them to, where do they go?
I forgot my kids are on the screen behind me. Yeah. Yes, they grow like weeds.
They do.
I've got all size 4T that need to become 5'6", like literally, I swear, overnight.
We can help you. That's what we're here for.
Well, I know. I'm actually excited about all that because I got a closet full of 4T I've got to deal with.
Yes. So Kara, that's what I would do. I would give all of mine to Kara.
Yeah.
And she was like, I hate going to all these secondhand stores, and it takes forever, and the apps take forever. I scroll, and then I'm 2 hours in and found one T-shirt. And she was like, I love that you gave me all your clothes. What if there are moms out there that don't have a you to pass on the clothes? What if we were that mom? What if we got the clothes?
Or dad, as a single dad that's out there. We could use that help too.
That's right. And that's what we've been hearing too. We've had a lot of people email us and be like, dads too.
Yeah.
And so we've actually been talking about that. We're like, okay, family-wise, like all of us need this to solve this problem. And she goes, what if we were like the Stitch Fix for kids' secondhand clothes? Okay. And I said, absolutely. So we ditched the other idea completely.
Nice.
Had bought sample, the whole thing. And we just jumped straight in, started polling people. And we had built a pretty good audience on Instagram. Okay. And so we polled people. We sent out surveys. We did a beta test. And we kind of talked to a bunch of people. And at some point we were like, let's just give it a go and see what happens.
Let's just give it a go.
Let's just give it a go, yeah. And there was one point, it took us about 9 months, and we had all these issues come up. She got COVID again. I broke my arm in a car wreck. And there were all these roadblocks to launching. And someone gave us advice and said, just start. Like, just send out one bag. One bag. That's all you need to do. And just get going and see what happens. And so we looked at each other one day and we were like, let's pick a date and we're just going to go. And that's what we did. So.
What date was that?
Oh, gosh. It was September 2021.
September 2021.
Yes, and it was like right around my daughter's birthday, so probably the 21st of September. We had planned to have a launch party to start, and that was kind of what was keeping us from going. And we were like, pitch the launch party, we'll just go. And then we had this celebratory lunch party 2 months after. So that's kind of how it got started. It started over coffee and like a long friendship of working together.
Which is fascinating because, if you look at from an ideation standpoint, when they talk about product market fit, which, we'll come back to that in a little bit wise, you guys actually were doing that, didn't even know it really the entire time. Mm-hmm. And the pivots, which is what I would say your podcast to this venture, are always fascinating. People are like, I got from here to here, but I did this. Yeah. And if I just known I could have gone here to here, I'm like, but you can't. Like, you had to go up and then down and then around and everything else to learn what you did so you would ever get to that.
Right.
For those that don't know, Stitch Fix, this is more of this curated box type approach, right? Yes. I think there's Stately, Stitch Fix. There's a bunch of, I get the men's one through Facebook all the time.
Yes.
So tell us how it works if we're going to engage with you guys. How does that work for, a parent that's looking to use y'all?
Head to our website and you can order what we call the bag. We're trying to keep it really simple for everyone. That was the thing that we were hearing.
See, you're already catering to men. Keep it simple. The bag.
Or just us too, because you get online to try these services. You got to take a quiz, then you get the stuff, and then you try it on. If you don't like it, you can send it back. And I was like, no, too much. Come to the website, tell us, do you have a boy or girl?
Okay.
What size do they need? What climate? So you want hot weather clothes or cold weather clothes?
And if in Texas, you just say all.
Yeah. Shorts all around. Yeah, or it changes like hour to hour.
That's right.
And if you want, you can take a style quiz.
Okay.
Really simple. It'll give us an idea of like color scheme. Do you like athletic clothes? And you can put anything you want in the notes. So you could put, hey, we're in Texas. I only want tank tops.
Got it.
We will do our best to fill that. And we are working off of inventory that varies greatly.
Okay.
But we do our best to make sure the customer gets exactly what they want for their children. So we get the order. We're in our warehouse, which is Kara's garage. Look at the quiz.
This is awesome.
Yeah, we go through our bins and we pull together 3 tops, 3 bottoms, and then what we call a bonus item, which could be like a button-up shirt for a boy or a hoodie.
Okay.
A girl, it could be a dress or a romper or a pair of overalls or something like that. Then we package it up, and what the really cool part is, in the bag of clothes, we send an empty bag with a prepaid shipping label. So when you've got that 4T stack at home,
you send it back.
You stick it in the bag and mail it to us, which we pay for, and then that becomes part of our inventory, and you get $10 off your next order.
That's genius. See, people don't realize, like this is one, I'll just say it out there. We literally just met, 20 minutes ago here? So I'm going with everybody else. This is fascinating. I mean, everybody's been saying what you guys are doing it is fascinating. These are the thing about great concepts. When you hear it, you're like, that's so simple.
Right? Yes.
But that's what makes the magic of these is that on there. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, do you do it by brand as well?
So we don't. That's one thing that I wouldn't say we have a direct competitor. There are some people somewhat doing this, but it's more consignment based.
Sure.
So you send your stuff in, they evaluate it, and then they'll give you credit based off of what you send in.
See, but
that's too much time for me.
It is, and for me, again, I meant to change that off there, but now that they're there, they're part of the conversation. Durability is huge, right? I mean, and a lot of times, like I'll go for Abercrombie for the kids, really because it's more durable, even though it's the same price because I buy it on sale for Target, right? But at the end of the day, Target's pretty good. If I could just get durable clothes that look good and are styling for them behind them, I'd be great.
Yeah, that's how we felt, and I know there's families out there that do care more about the brand. We wouldn't be the fit for that. We're kind of like, we need to help you stock your kids' closet, right? With play clothes. with the things that you need every day.
They tear them up at the end of the day.
They do. They really do. Yeah, we'll get some jeans.
And they don't wear half of them. They tear up half of them. And it's really that half that we need to pass on, for this, which is great.
Yeah, we'll get some clothes that have tags on them. And I'm like, I know what happened. This was purchased and the kid didn't wear it. They didn't like it. And now it's in
I just dropped off Goodwill with a whole bunch of tags on them. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you tell them to put it in their closet for the older one, and they put it under a bunch of stuff. And when you go in the closet, you're like, oh, yeah, I knew I bought you all those jeans.
That's right.
2 years ago.
That's right. Now they don't fit.
Now they don't fit. And they're wonderful, and you can't return them.
I know.
I tried.
I know.
They won't take them. It's a phenomenal concept. Let's talk, from setting up product market fit, which we could talk about that, and we have in the past. You already answered all the questions for me, which is, okay, well, how were you aware? Your podcast was fantastic. Well, how did you understand the product market fit? You did the research with the questionnaire. So, you check all those boxes. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit more about the support that you got around ideation, because, there is a lot you can read online. That is a lot of information. There's really a lacking online, I believe, of good, hey, let's work you through the process for your unique product or service to do that. But I know you guys found Geekdom, and we're Geekdom fans here. Yes. We do a lot with them. Talk a little bit about your experience with Geekdom and that ideation support that you got.
Geekdom has been wonderful. We toured there probably at least 6 months before we actually decided to apply for the incubator program.
Okay.
We loved it. We are moms ourselves with young kids, so we're still in the carpool pickup line at 2 every day. So we were like, how are we going to get downtown as much as we'd like to? So we didn't join right at first because we were like, we don't feel like we could, actively participate. And then we got a heads up that we were going to get some national media coverage. So Kara, my business partner, put in a panic call to Geekdom and was like, please help us. We don't know what to do. So we joined. We got down there. We applied for the incubator program. We're in that program. And we've met so many wonderful people, and they're just awesome. And everyone is there to listen. They'll throw ideas. They connect us to people. We've had so many emails connecting us. And it's been a great support, especially the incubator part of, we had a whole day. This was one of my favorite days so far. We got a huge whiteboard and just went through our whole customer journey. And it was awesome. And I want to frame the picture of the whiteboard that we drew because it was a masterpiece. And people would stop by and like, hey, why don't you think about this? Or is this a part of your process you could simplify, which we hadn't even, considered. And I think to have that in-person support in our local community is awesome. It's really cool.
By the way, once you get the whiteboard and you put it on there, look for Whitey boards. There's a plug for you. Down the hall, there's a whole wall where we have a whiteboard to do that thing. Whiteboards are the coolest thing in the world. I don't like the virtual ones too much. But once you get into process and process design on whiteboards, you kind of geek out about it. So I get it. The Geekdom folks are fantastic in their resource and what they do. So you hinted at it here, but talk about, you guys had your... what is, I think, a 3-year journey, right, of pivoting, getting here. We have September of 2021.
Yes.
And then talk about this media attention. What happened there?
Wow. Okay, so we launched, and we had, like I said, built up kind of a platform of people. So we had like a pretty significant email list built in of this like age group of families that were our target customers. So that was kind of great.
Nice.
And all we did was like switch our Instagram handle. But we brought them along for the journey. So it wasn't just
That's called rebranding.
Yes, did a rebrand. And we teased it, and we were like, we want to see what we're doing. Everyone helped us pick our brand colors.
Nice.
It was really fun.
That is fun.
Launched with, good success, had the launch party, and got like orders, but it wasn't just like overwhelming because it's just the two of us. We're not doing paid ads.
Right.
And then San Antonio Magazine, Kathleen Petty, reached out, love her, and was like, hey, I want to feature you guys as a hidden gem. And then we were also one of the best in the city in San Antonio Magazine. So we were like, cool, awesome. Well, then we were like, hey, Texas Monthly wants to feature you in 6 eco-friendly Texas shop. Okay, really cool. This is awesome. Like 2 months later. Well, then like 3 months later, hi, the Washington Post would like to do an article on you. And we were like, awesome. And then shortly after that, we got an email from the New York Times, which was unbelievable. And they actually did a photo shoot with us in Kara's house.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was like unbelievable.
I've had a lot of famous people in here, but wow. I got another chef you need to meet. She's constantly like, okay, she's in GQ. She's in every single magazine.
Well, and
Chef, we love you.
Every time someone would email, my husband would be like, "Can you Google them, make sure that's a real person?" Because like I want to make sure nobody's
That's true.
trying to.
As a lawyer, I'll tell you, I've dealt with the media before, and you're like, let me just double check your credentials here, buddy.
Yes. So we get this like, New York Times interview. We talk, for about an hour, and then we get an email that's like, photo shoot. And we're just like, unbelievable. This is wild. And,
Wow.
we're just packing our kids' lunches and packing orders when we can and, living the life. And the photo director calls us and she's like, I'm going to send you a picture. Can you guys make this happen by Friday? And it was a picture of a living room with floor-to-ceiling cigarettes stacked up. She goes, can you do this with clothes? Kids' clothes.
At least it wasn't the cigarettes.
No, yeah. Like, I don't think we could do that one. Kids' clothes, yes. So we,
Wow.
in the span of like 3 days, built a massive pile of clothes, floor to ceiling in Kara's house, and had a photo shoot for the New York Times.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was kind of this low snowball. I mean, of just people.
I'm hoping my team, I don't know, this may not happen. You may be watching, it doesn't happen. I hope they can find the photo and put it in right in this time on it.
It's
I
a
hope
cool
so.
Photo.
I got to check that one out.
Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, it just was a low, slow, and once we knew we were going to get eyeballs on, Washington Post was good. We got a lot of website hits.
Yeah.
And the New York Times was something different. Something about that specific demographic of readers. We got orders like almost immediately. Once they put it on their app, the article.
Yep.
And I think the age group that we're targeting is people that are on their phones with news apps instead of like, the actual newspaper.
That's right.
And so that was like a big hit for us, just like right in our sweet spot. So that was really cool. And we got.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about that because I have like the Wall Street Journal. I don't get to read it really. I don't read it every day. I would love to. Don't have time. But I live off of my, the drop downs that come on a headline and then that'll be what I'll read that article on there. I never thought about that from a marketing standpoint.
Yes, I think it's and even my husband was like, my Apple News is all I see.
That's right.
Like if you can get someone to like feed an Apple News story, that would be amazing.
There you go. Ideation right there. There's your next pivot.
That's it.
Well, okay. So, this is breakneck speed. You've got all this. What were some of the challenges that you experienced when all those orders came in? Because everybody's like, oh, that's great. You got all these orders, and that's probably it to a big extent. But what did you learn from that?
So one of the biggest challenges, it's 2 of us.
Sure.
And we wash all the clothes too. So we're getting hand-me-downs
Oh
from
my
families.
gosh.
So let's say you bring us a bag of clothes and you haven't sorted it. So we sort through all that.
Or washed it.
We sort it, we wash it, we fold it, and then we separate it into all of our bins in the garage. So when you're getting 25 orders a day, when there's 2 of us, it's like full tilts. You're curating because we have to, look at the style quiz and go through and lay out. Okay, this kid is athletic, so we need to find 3 athletic tops and 3 athletic bottoms. We're pretty good at it now.
Yeah.
But it was really just that finding a rhythm, doing that volume, and then just making sure the inventory was stocked because it is such a volatile inventory cycle, which is cool. That's like the whole point of what we're doing. We want to use the clothes that are already there. There's so many clothes already in circulation. And so we just want to make sure we get them to our hands so we can redistribute them to who will actually wear them.
No, I think that's phenomenal. So, there's been news, it's been years when they used to talk about Goodwill and when you would drop off the stuff to Goodwill, right? And so I won't go down that path too much, but you can Google and look at Goodwill, which is a great, community, but they get inundated with a bunch of supply, which a lot of that doesn't necessarily make it in the places we would think that when we donate those things happen to.
That's right.
How did you guys find, how do you find enough supply for all this?
People in our community have been so generous. And so that launch party that we did, the admission to get in was you had to bring a bag of kids' clothes. And then you got in and got a free drink. And it was awesome.
You should do more of those.
Well, that's what we've talked about.
I was going to say, those kind of mixers, I bring bags. I got a bag right now that I'm going to have. It's in a box.
Yes.
Free drink. All right, here you go.
Yeah.
It's a cheap way to do it.
It was awesome. It was really fun. And then people in town, they find out about us. They're like, can I just drop 3 bags on your porch? Absolutely.
Wow.
And some people want the $10 off. A lot of people just want to get the clothes out of their cart.
And for somebody to use them. That's why Goodwill gets them a lot, right?
Yes.
You could throw them away, right? But that there is this natural intent of, well, if somebody else can benefit from these, I'm going to pass them down. They just don't know where to go.
Right. And that's one thing I told Kara. because I'm an intentional consumer. So I definitely pay attention to that. And I was like, I would love to have a place where I could send if I didn't have you, my kids' hand-me-downs, and no, we don't throw anything in the trash. So we have very specific avenues that everything goes down.
Yeah.
If it's too stained, it gets sent to downcycle. We have for like super graphic t-shirts, we intentionally donate within the community. And then the other stuff we put in our bags. So
what do you mean downcycle?
that is when you take like this item that is just reached the end of its life. Maybe
Yeah.
you could turn it into a rag, which that's technically downcycling. But there are people that mechanically break down the fabric into fabric pulp.
Really?
And then put it into like your floorboard of your car, or some countries use it as insulation. And it's a
Wow.
we don't do as much of it here in the United States, and that's something that I think is about to like blow up. But or I hope it does, I guess, because there's a need for it.
Well, yeah, and if you think about just, it's wood products and cotton products, now cotton polyester. We have tons.
Yes, the polyester's wild.
What do you do with the polyester on a down cycle?
That's what's hard. So that's what's making textile to textile recycling really difficult, because we're making these blended fibers. If
Yeah.
you have just straight denim, you can turn that into new denim fairly easily.
Yep.
But what they're having to do with these polyesters is just downcycle. They've got to break them down mechanically.
That's cotton. I was like, some of my stuff,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yes.
now in the slim fit and, unwrinkled, but this is cotton.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
It is. I would say we actually had one quiz that requested no polyester, and I was like, I'm sorry, literally every item of kids' clothing has some form of...
Because of the durability and everything they try to weave in those
And
things.
it's cheaper. I mean, that's what people are manufacturing with now, because it's cheaper. But the problem is, if that goes to the trash, it just sits there for years.
Right.
It doesn't go anywhere.
Right. No, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more now into where you are today.
Yes.
Because you're learning by a fire hose, right? We were having the conversation ahead of time.
Yes, drinking from a fire hose.
I've got some questions, but let me just start off with this kind of big open question is, what is your biggest challenge right now that you've got an MPV, which has been was validated, has been, over-validated now, which is fantastic. It's gotten the national media attention, and it's two people working really hard on an amazing idea. What's your biggest challenge right now?
Inventory is huge. That is huge. And it's not that they aren't available to us.
Yeah.
It's that we've got to get them to us specifically. Right. And that's something that's totally doable that we're working on. And then, our time is, we're running to the carpool line at 2:00 every day. So we're not really working normal business hours. And we're having to kind of like set that schedule now of, we were working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now it looks more like Monday through Saturday when we can, fit in time there. So those are some of the big challenges. I'm trying to think of what else. Really just...
Well, I'll ask you some more on those, because I've got some other ones there. From it's just the two of y'all.
Yes.
I can already sense the culture that you have, right?
Yes.
But let's be honest, right? There's going to have to be more than two of y'all in order for this to go.
Yes.
Have y'all, what kind of, do you have that? I mean, you've had a podcast, you've been doing this for a while. How are you looking to maybe create that culture and deploy that culture?
Yes, we were even just thinking about, like, could we use like a VA? Like, is there something that we could do? We were going to bring on an intern maybe this summer with students and startups. And that felt very overwhelming because we didn't know how available we'd be in the summer. We're like, we're supposed to be teaching you. And we're like, sorry, I'm at, soccer practice. Have fun. But that feels like an interesting choice for us, because we have such a long established friendship and now business partnership that it would be interesting to kind of bring someone into our mix that we've got going on. So those are the types of decisions that we're facing now, as far as like looking at, do we bring in someone to do the website with us, or marketing, or do we need someone to handle that? Those are the types of big questions that we're asking now that have come up a lot more quickly than we were anticipating.
Well, and scalability is what hits people.
Yes.
I mean, there are some, like, technology is easier, right? Because they build it with the end in mind right from the beginning of, if this one user, but add in 10 million more users, as long as we have the bandwidth and everything else, it'll work.
Yeah.
When you get into these blended service, goods, tech, it's a whole different ballgame for people that they don't realize. I mean, you've got to validate your MPV, which is going to be a lot of just manual, and then you start to build the rest of the pieces around it. So it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
You know where it is. What do you guys think is your first challenge on the scalability piece that you're going to be addressing? You mentioned maybe the customer journey. Is that something y'all are looking at?
Yes, I've always been interested to see. Sometimes we'll have people order 2 bags like want 14 items. And so
Okay.
I thought, I wonder if like we offered 2 sizes. We don't want to make anything too complicated
That's
for
right.
people. So it's like, those are the types of questions we want to start asking. Some people at Geekdom that we've talked with, because shipping is honestly our biggest issue, because we did start charging the customer shipping recently, which was... That's
good.
That was getting us into trouble a little bit at first, because we were like, free shipping for everybody.
Oh, wow.
And then, the holidays.
Man,
hit.
I can't believe I missed y'all in 2022.
I know. That was a big learning challenge for us.
Yeah.
And, because we want to make it easy. And a lot of, people our age love free shipping. And so, but that's really not the world we're in right now, because the shipping rates have gone up. And then with the holidays, which is a big block of time. I mean, it's like a whole third of the year that they up shipping charges. So these are the things that we've been learning. Someone was suggesting distribution centers. What if you have East Coast, West Coast? That's really cool, and that would definitely cut down on costs. But then we've got to be able to teach, someone there. I love that idea, because I love this idea of like community sharing of clothes, like in South Texas or like on the East Coast. But you're right. It's like, how do we teach somebody else how to curate this bag? Those are the types of like scalability questions that
it's interesting when you say things like that, what comes to mind is like REI.
Yes.
And those type of things where, from an outdoors, very narrow community, right, comes together, and they have those kind of like, trade and more, I would say grassroots type community relationships. So, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Most of these communities are already in the PTAs and everything else, right? Yes. So, maybe there's something there. But that's something I'm interested, as you guys grow to learn more about what y'all do, is that your tech is actually more simple than your business.
I know.
Even though your idea is super simple.
It is. Yeah. And it's so cool, because we've had this program that we were going to launch and just kind of like hit it on our website, where people in other cities can collect clothes and then send them to us. People found it and signed up. And we were like, oh no, we're not ready for that yet. So
you were SEO optimized. Oh, man.
Yeah. So we were like, thank you for your interest. We're currently working out the logistics of this. But people want to participate in something like this. They want to... There's this element that we talked about earlier of like feel good. Like I want to feel like I'm doing something and getting these clothes where they need to be. So I think there's like huge potential.
Oh, I think it's massive.
I mean, we're already shipping. We've shipped to 40 states now. So it's like, it's not just something that's in,
Wow.
Yeah.
40 states?
Yes. It's so fun. Every time I get an order, I'm like, where's it going? I think there's this huge potential that people want to participate in something like this that they can be a part of. So
let me ask you this question, because when it comes to scalability and some of the stuff is, there's a great book, and it's called The Goal. And for some reason, I can't think of the guy's name. That it was from I want to say it's from the 70s.
Okay.
And in The Goal, which my team hears me talk about this book, and like I'm kind of looking around on my bookshelf to see. Anyway, The Goal, we'll put it in the descriptions on there. It talks about old school manufacturing. Mm-hmm. This is all the way back into the 80s when there was the Japanese, that were pushing out Toyotas faster than we could. And it's still relevant today, but people don't really read it because they think it's about manufacturing. But what it talked about was looking through your bottlenecks of your process.
Right.
But then one of the things, and there's tons of nuggets in there, but when he gets to what is an efficient process, he also realizes that his demand on the sales side was a contributing factor to the bottleneck and to the overall machine.
Interesting.
Okay. And so it's a fascinating, the book is like this thick.
Okay, perfect.
Great. If you put your melatonin away, don't have to drink a beer or anything at night, just to pick up the book and get over it through a year. But no, it's got a lot of amazing information on that. And that was a long thing to get to. Is how do you guys throttle a little bit your demand in order to match up? Because you don't really have the capacity, you don't have the bandwidth. There's bottlenecks that are in here all over the place.
Yes.
How do you guys deal with that?
So when we knew the Times article was coming out, we did put like a stopgap, because I was like, well, I love all these small shops that are like limited quantity, sign up for our wait list.
Yeah.
And Kara was kind of like, no, we're not turning away a customer. Like, I don't want to turn away a customer. And I was like, okay, but there's a limit, right? Like,
Kara, we haven't met, but this is great that you're not here today because.
But I love her for that.
I know.
Otherwise, I would have been like, we're closed for a little bit while we regroup.
That's right.
She's like, no. So what we did do, we kind of compromised and said, we'll put a limit on orders. Like, what do we think? Because we really don't keep a solid inventory of, like, we can make 5 bags of this size right now, because it just varies so greatly based off of what someone's quiz might be, right? And so we put, like, a kind of a stopgap on, like, this, maybe we're low in this 5T boy size, so we're going to only allow max 20 orders here. And then if we hit, if we somehow 50 people came wanting that, we would have time. They could sign up on a wait list.
Okay.
We have time to gather ourselves, find what we need to. Because if we had a team of 20 people, we could find clothes like that, get them to us, ship them out. But since it's just the 2 of us, it's a little bit harder.
Which is still, every time you say it's just the 2 of y'all, I mean, I'm sure the listeners are doing it too. Like, holy moly.
I know. We wear a lot of hats, but it's fun.
I'm going to ask you a question about those hats here in a second.
Oh, good. Yeah. So that's one that we did to kind of, like, catch your breath. And what we've noticed, which is kind of cool about what we're doing, it's seasonal, right? So, like, you don't have to subscribe. We do have some subscribers, which is something that we're working on a little bit, to where we send a bag every season change, essentially.
Yeah.
Or in Texas, every few months. There aren't real season changes.
Well, there are. It's every, week or day.
5 minutes. Or a lot of customers order 1 bag because it's like, oh, I ran out of shorts. Or like you're saying, I just need some size 6 clothes right now.
Right.
And so we see we call it volatility in a way. That sounds dramatic, but we'll get peaks where it's like, it got hot. We saw a real big influx. Well, that gives us time. Okay, nobody's really ordering cold clothes. We're still going to collect these. And because a lot of these secondhand shops or consignment stores don't accept off-season clothes.
Right.
So we're like, we'll take them because you can order anytime. So we still have people in Colorado ordering cold weather while people in Texas are starting to order shorts. So there are some rhythms that we're finding that do help us with those bottlenecks.
Interesting.
Because we get a little relief in one area.
And especially over time, right? You build up your inventory ahead of time, whereas everybody else just likes to keep it up.
Yes.
This is all fascinating.
Yeah.
And I have a whole lot more questions, but let me kind of get to a couple more here that I think the listeners here will like. Okay, so you started off this on your journey talking about you and Kara, all the way besties back into high school. It is extremely rare that when you get this long into business that besties is still it. And it seems like it is, which is fantastic. What do you think are the secrets to y'all's success of continuing that type of relationship of having that? Because it is very difficult to do when the stress of business comes in between people.
Yes. We're basically sisters at this point is kind of how we view it, as family in a sense. And for sure, we definitely, especially in the past month, we've laughed because we've been more on edge with each other over the past couple of weeks, and we know it, and we just won't say it. And we look at each other, we're like, okay, we're having one of those days. All right, that's fine. We'll move on. And we've always said from the get-go, nothing is more important than our friendship. Yeah. So we're not going to let a business blow us up,
right.
Which, we've heard people be like, okay, whatever. We've heard that from co-founders, good luck. And it's just true. That's how we are.
I didn't say it.
I know.
My eyes probably gave it away, but I didn't say it.
I know, right? But it's 20 some years. She introduced me to my husband. We've just got lots of ties there where it's if this starts coming between us, I can see both of us being okay, let's truly reevaluate. What is the issue here? Which again, I know maybe we're naive, but we've got, she's got certain strengths that I don't have and vice versa. So she's our efficiency expert. She keeps us on a to-do list, keeps us on track. I'm the creator.
Oh, I could tell she already said, no, we're not doing the wait list. We're not doing it down. And I got it.
Show up and I'm over here I'm going to make a reel on Instagram. And I'm making graphics and answering emails or whatever. And she's like, okay, these are our to-do lists. We got to go. So we've got a great flow to where we can sit down. I'll look at her. She'll be like, I need you to do these 3 things. And I'm like, got it. And I operate great that way. I love it when someone can be like, here's what I need you to do today.
Right.
And so it works really well that way.
Well, it's interesting. So we do a course about, founders coming together, multi-owners, because in one of the modules we go around the disc because it's an easy way to kind of talk about people and that are dominant and creative. And there's pros and cons. People think, oh, yeah, I don't want anybody dominant. Because really it's when you have a bunch of owners together, especially that are active in the business, you want to make sure that there's complementary. If they're the same, you're going to actually have weaknesses that you can't come through. You really want to try to find people that are in different places because it makes the team better.
Yes.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that is actually the secret to how you stay, is because you can't get the same people. If you get two Ds in a room, that's for dominant. They'll just butt heads and butt heads. And next thing you know, all day they're not getting anything wrong, done on it.
Yeah.
The other thing that comes with this when we talk about with founders is the team. Because from an education standpoint, and I don't mean, but just skills, not education, but skills.
Yes.
Financial versus marketing versus process versus whatever.
Right.
How do you guys match up on that?
Yeah, neither of us are in the financial bucket.
That's okay.
We know it, and that's what we've been learning about. And I think that's, fine. We can't check every box.
That's right. You won't actually, yeah.
I actually was a teacher for a while, and then I worked for my parents for a little bit. They do point of sale software for school cafeterias. So
nice.
I do like small reconciliation numbers, nothing like we're talking about over here.
Right.
And like graphics and design. And then Kara used to work for Rackspace, and she would do some of the product marketing side of that. So she's great with like email campaigns. She knows more about the marketing side of things. I tend to be like our social media person. Self-taught, I guess, in a way.
Aren't all influencers?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if there's a course out there that's really good, would somebody ping me on it and don't ping me to sell me something?
Yes. And I love like customer experience stuff. So I'm like, I want, our customers at some point are not going to want a polyester bag because, we're a sustainable company. So
that's
maybe
right.
we should look into other options.
Right.
And, she's more of the efficiency of like, these are the bags we have right now. We're going to do this now. And then maybe one day we'll look down the road and, or I'll like handwrite a note to the customer. Just,
But that's great. I mean, that's what it takes is, the personalities, the skills, and then you're going to have gaps.
Yes.
And you don't necessarily feel the personality gaps, but the skill gaps, I mean, that's why you have a lawyer, or that's why you talk to the accountant, right? And finding the right person on that team, is critical. So all that just makes sense. What's great is you're able to explain what your strengths and weaknesses are, which is something that when I talk to founders and small businesses as they're looking to scale, that's where you got to start.
Yes.
Because if you just start plugging people on, then you're not really going to get what you need. And learning a lot about what you need, like the whole reconciliation and taking the classes, will save you a ton of money.
Yes.
A ton of money. I'm not saying do it, like don't practice law, but learn about law. So that way you can be more educated and informed because, that way you can be a better client for the accountant as you're telling them, hey, this is how I want our books to be set up because here's our strategy. Or with the lawyer when you're saying, well, I don't want to go down that path because here's our overall strategy. I was reading something about this. What about this? Don't just be a passive player with your team. Be an active one. And so learn enough to be able to speak the language at a minimum. That's a big thing.
Yeah, that's what we're learning. There have been a lot of acronyms thrown at us in the past month that we've been like, yes. And then we go and we're like, what was that? Okay, great, perfect.
I was in healthcare. I would just be like, perfect.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep, I got it. I don't know why you just didn't say what that was. We had to use an acronym. Healthcare is horrible about acronyms.
Well, the other day, Carrie kept, it was an accident, but she kept saying VC instead of VA. And we were like, those are very different things. We need to stop. And she goes, I know what they are. I just can't say it today.
We talk about BHAG, which I don't know if you know what a BHAG. It's a big, hairy,
Yeah, I know that one. Yes.
So, we talk about that. And I had someone the other day, they're like, BHAG? Is that like when you need like a haircut or something like that? What is that thing? And I'm like, oh man, I'm talking in acronyms even for what we do. It's like big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yes.
Anything? No? Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, she taught me that one.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So, well, with that, and I just prime myself, what is the big, hairy, audacious goal for you guys? I mean, going in here into 2023, it's just going to keep growing. What y'all's BHAG?
Yeah, we think that this model of curated secondhand is something that if we can prove it works with this, at this like rapid turnover rate for kids, that you can do it for anything, right? And we see that there's this huge demand right now for secondhand. People are wanting to save a little money.
Right.
They want to save a little time. If someone, that's kind of the plight of secondhand. You got to go dig through the thrift store. You got to, get on the app and scroll for hours. So if we can make it simpler and easier to shop secondhand and prove that model across multiple platforms, perhaps, or types of categories, we think it could be really cool. And it's already gone nationwide to an extent, so we're like, we could just keep going from there and get more people involved, because there's no lack of secondhand kids clothing at all.
There's just so many just positive things, from the environment to social issues, kids being able to have better, parents being able to have better access to clothes so their kids feel comfortable. There's studies that show that if kids actually feel comfortable in their own clothing, from it boosts their morale, it boosts their confidence, they can perform better in school. I mean, we do a lot about social determinants of health, and this doesn't actually necessarily go into a clean bucket, but it's really all of them. It's something people don't even think of. So thank you for coming to share that with us. I'm sure that, as we share these clips, we're going to have to do updates, to be like, okay, and this is what happened, a month later from it. We're going to be dated really fast on this one. They're going to end up, on the Today Show and everything moving forward.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, we'll speak it into existence.
I like that.
But thank you so much for coming on and sharing this. I've enjoyed it. I'm sure everybody that's watched this is enjoying it. And we'll make sure we put in the link, the description, the links and everything, so that way you can do it. I'm going to go get my bag of clothes out of my house and become a member immediately. Yes. But thank you. Thank you for coming to do this.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Wow, I hope you enjoyed that just as much as I do. We are so proud to educate and support our community here in South Texas. And this is just another example of a great founder that is doing great things that we'd love to highlight here on the South Texas Power Lunch. Now make sure you subscribe. As the South Texas business lawyers, we look forward to supporting and educating every single small business owner. And by subscribing, you won't miss out on all of the free education and information that we send out almost every single day. So subscribe now and don't miss out.